But let's start with Kentucky at LSU, guys. Kentucky won its last 4 games by at least 27 points. They were blowing teams out. Not great teams, but decent teams. Western Kentucky. Oscar Tshiebwe leading the country in rebounding. Severe Wheeler, third in the country in assists. Everything appeared to be clicking for John Calipari and the Wildcats, but then it all changed with about right after the first media timeout. Severe Wheeler ran into a screen set by LSU freshman Efton Reed, and he didn't return to the game. Oscar Tshiebwe picked up 2 fouls. Then in the second half, Ty Washington cramped up. And after a crazy ending, instead of Kentucky getting a win, a big road win, maybe it's best of the season, they leave with another loss. And they don't really have a big resume win, Sean. You know, they're still kind of looking for it. Their best win is against the Carolina team that frankly hasn't done a whole hell of a lot. Second best win against an Ohio team that's really a good mid-major. How worried are you about this Kentucky team?
I'm not really worried about them, Jeff. I think they've repaired what happened a year ago. And I think that they consciously played a non-conference schedule that might have been overall a little softer than their standards. And in some cases, maybe a lot softer than a few of their standards from years gone by, but they've built confidence.
You said it, Sean. Sean, you said before, what is a good for a Power 5, Power 6 school? What's a good non-conference strength of schedule number, and what has Kentucky's been?
If you're in the hundreds, Jeff, you've given yourself plenty of good opportunities. And Arch and I have talked a lot about this just over the years, but especially this year when we're together and kind of in this new wave for us. It's as much avoiding the terrible bye game teams. You know, at the end of the year, when you've beaten a team that checks in the net at 300, 320, 330, it's as if the game wasn't played. And in some ways, it actually hurts you. If you replace that game or those games or a slew of them with teams that are in the hundreds, which, by the way, are dangerous games, right? They're the games that if you're not ready, you can get beat. But you win by 8 at home against that type of team. Those teams, in a very sneaky way, not only help your team improve, but I think gives you much more bang when it comes to seeding, getting a bid to the tournament, and as you enter March Madness. You know, Kentucky chose to play really a non-conference schedule above 300, but they've improved. I think the SEC will give them plenty of good opportunities. But when you see them go on the road early here, Jeff, SEC conference play right after the holiday break, to be in a battle, and then when Wheeler goes down and Ty cramps up, they lost to a good team on the road. There's no shame in that. They'll bounce back from that. I'm not really worried about it. But to look and compare Kentucky today to maybe who they were 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when you think of them, those are some of the players and teams you think of. The structure of their non-conference schedule and who they are, it's still not where it was. I do think, though, you catch them in February, they'll be as tough of a team to beat as anybody. It's going to take longer based on the process that they're in.
Arch, they kind of built their team differently this year. I got there in the preseason, and I was like, you know what? I really like this team because they're not going to come out of the gate slow, hopefully, because they're older, and they've got a bunch of transfers, and they've got shooters. We saw that in the second half with Kellen Grady. To me, this game, I think – I hate to say it, but it's true. I almost give Kentucky more credit because they didn't have their starting point guard for basically the whole game. They didn't have Ty Washington, who's their most talented player, for the second half. He was cramped up. When he came back in, he wasn't himself. Oscar Tshiebwe was on the bench for the better part of the last 10 minutes of the first half with foul trouble. Those are your 3 most important players, and they still found a way to fight. And there was a scramble at the end. If Tshiebwe had saved that ball, and a Kentucky player had got it going out of bounds, they might have come away with that win. How much, like, a loss like this, the way they lost it, Arch, if you're John Calipari, do you still feel okay about yourself because you almost got a win in Baton Rouge, or no?
Well, I think Kentucky's mad as hell flying home. You know, they go 10 for 20 from the foul line. They turn the ball over 15 times, and LSU stole it 11. They're on the road up 9 with 13 minutes to go in the second half. Arguably their MVP is Wheeler. You can say that Oscar's rebounding like a fool, and he is, but you know, Severe Wheeler is amongst the leaders in the country in assists, and that's a big deal at Kentucky with the people that they have around him. He's doing a great job. They lose him, he plays 3 minutes. That immediately puts their team in a little bit of flux. They don't play a deep bench, especially at the guard slot. But you know what? They're up 9 with 13 to go. They're in control. And LSU, to their credit, coming off the Auburn game, their first home SEC game, place is full. It's Kentucky. They amped it up. And LSU's defense is as highly rated as it is because it's good. They have great length. They switch a ton. And you know what? They got after them a little bit. Game got crazy. And they end up, you know, getting that run and taking Kentucky sort of the juice out of them and knocked them on their heels. And you know what? Kentucky would have liked to have Wheeler out there for those last 12 minutes of crunch time because he's the guy who has the ball. But Kentucky's going home mad. You know, they feel like, number one, we weren't strong with the ball. And you know what? We go to the line 20 times and we go 10 for 20 at the line on the road. And a lot of the turnovers, of their 15 turnovers, again, think about this, LSU stole 11 balls. You're not going to win very many games on the road when that happens. So they're going home and they're saying, we competed. We battled like hell. Our defense was good enough to win the game. And at the end of the day, hopefully, if we have to go a longer stretch without Wheeler here, we'll be more prepared because the SEC is going to be like that for those guys every night.
Hey, the other thing, Jeff, like I know why you're talking about Kentucky because I think all of us are programmed to see them be the best, you know, and that's a credit to Kentucky and Cal and everything they have. But let's give LSU some credit now. LSU had a home SEC game. They're one of America's best defensive teams. They've proven that. Eason has been an amazing addition to what they have. They play hard. They're talented. They're athletic. They've won a lot of games. And guess what? Like LSU's trying to win the same SEC championship as Kentucky is. So the fact it was a home game, conference play is about defending your home court. Tonight, LSU did it. And, you know, to the points that you guys made, when you have the injury to your leader like Wheeler and you're playing shorthanded on the road in the SEC against like LSU.
Hey, think about this. LSU 1 week ago got steamrolled at Auburn. Yeah. It's not going to be easy in the SEC. There's some seriously talented teams. And you know what? You're going to have to find a way. If you're going to win on the road in that league, to me, the biggest deal in the SEC is you can't turn it over. It seems the teams that are able to turn you over in the SEC, they score at will.